Guys, we are 3 days away into the Nintendo Switch 2 Nintendo Direct, literally coming this Wednesday. It's crazy. The weekend is almost over and it'll be here before we know it. So of course, we only have 2 more days after this to get hyped and be excited for this thing because it's going to be here. And the other day I posted a video talking about what to expect from this show, which seemed like the most likely things that Nintendo would do. I'm now going to do a video of my personal predictions and also what I want the most out of this show at the very end. So there's a lot to talk about here. I'm giving you my exact predictions down to the T of what's going to happen. At the very end, I'll give you my own personal wants of what I'm looking for and what would completely satisfy me in my terms. Of course, before we dive in, we have one of the last questions of the day. Today's question comes from Nick Mario 1 and states, in the next 3D Mario game or any Mario game, would you want a super deep Mario story that's like Super Paper Mario but more interesting with some stakes like Marvel and DC for example? Now Mario is known for never really having a deep story. I mean, for the most part, their main motto is keeping us playing more than sitting and watching cutscenes and stuff like that. And I get it, you know, the more we're playing, the more we're actually engaged and interested into the game, and that's just kind of always been how Mario is. But I don't think we need anything as huge or ambitious as a story like Super Paper Mario. That stuff is for the RPG games, but I definitely would love to see some sort of story. I think there should be some type of stakes, something to actually keep us invested. Sometimes stories are the things that make us remember games the most. It's not always just the gameplay. I just pretty much finished Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and the story alone is going to make me remember this game for years and years to follow, not just the gameplay. So I hope Nintendo has some type of new characters and cast that we care about, some type of stakes that actually ties into the worlds, into the gameplay. So yes, I'm hoping for more story, but nothing super duper ambitious on the lines of Super Paper Mario or something like that, but I would love to see something. Make sure you comment the word hype in all caps followed by your Switch 2 hype comment, as we only are going to have about 2 more comments left. We are that close. But it's time for the show's predictions, and I think it's going to start off immediately with about a 15-minute console overview. They're going to show off the Joy-Con. I would love to see a comparison from the original Switch reveal where they have Koizumi on some type of platform where he's like holding the Joy-Con and showing what they look like and showing their new functions, maybe showing them in their mouse mode, sliding them across a desk, holding his hands up again with them dropping down from the wrist straps, you know, just kind of mimicking that first time we've seen them. He'll also probably show how they magnetically attach and like attach them, detach them, attach them back and forth. I can see him doing it a lot just to hear the sound of the click and showing how intuitive it is. We'll then dive into the console itself, showing the size differences, lots of probably comparisons to the original Switch, showing how much bigger it is, how the screens are different, how much clearer, or, you know, even the graphic side of things. And they'll maybe show more graphics later on in the software showcase, but this will be a lot of the UI, maybe showing the new UI of the system and maybe custom themes and just, you know, the way the layout looks and maybe the eShop and stuff like that, just showing the big differences. It'll go back to the Joy-Con showing off that C button at the bottom right of the Joy-Con, which then it will shift into a showcase of an app that's inside of the Switch called Vimeo, which is going to be a social media app. It's going to tie to a smartphone app as well, but it's going to pretty much be the Twitter/TikTok of the Nintendo Switch platform, allowing us to share pictures, videos, screenshots, and even comment on other people's posts, follow people, and have our own account. Yeah, pretty much the TikTok or Twitter for Nintendo. The C button on the bottom of the right Joy-Con, which is confirmed by the way, is probably going to be a community button. That's my prediction, where if you tap it, it'll immediately take you to the community tab of Vimeo. I also predict we'll see a couple of attachments that we can buy for Switch 2. It will be able to flip upside down and we can attach our Joy-Con either way, so that way we can attach different things to the tops and to the bottoms. There might be a camera attachment, and I could even see the potential for maybe even a smaller additional screen to play DS games on. I also predict that Nintendo will have a keyboard accessory that goes along with that mouse mode for the Joy-Con, so that way you can use the keyboard for games like a PC player, or you can use them in order to search the eShop or maybe even use the online web browser. I do not think we are going to see anything with the Nintendo Switch Online, meaning that I don't think we're going to get those GameCube games announced yet. I do think they're coming, and I think we could eventually even go as far as to DS or 3DS games, but I don't think we're going to see anything here. The first first games that they show off before we dive into the software showcase is going to be Metroid Prime 4. It's probably going to be used to show off the comparison of graphics from Switch 1 to Switch 2. Like I said, I can see this Direct having a lot of comparisons, showing how much powerful the Switch 2 is compared to Switch 1 and why people will want to go out and buy it, and also buy the Switch 2 version of Metroid Prime 4. I'm predicting that the graphics will be mind-blowing. It will be to the point where we can't believe this is running on Nintendo hardware, and that we're so excited to see the rest of the games that are going to take full advantage of the Switch 2's power. I predict it's going to exceed our wildest dreams, and even the cartoony games like Mario Kart and 3D Mario are going to look fantastic. And because of these graphics being so good and all the things that you can do with this brand new Nintendo Switch, I believe is going to be priced at $450. Unfortunately, I think that increase in price is also going to hit games where we're going to see games priced upwards to $70 like we're already seeing with certain titles like Tears of the Kingdom, but this time it's going to be with any major first-party release. And I'm going to jump on the bandwagon with a lot of people out there, assuming that this is going to launch on May 15th. Now, there's been some rumors saying June, and I think it could be any time between May and June, but I'm going to go with May 15th. It's right in the middle of May, just over a month after the announcement of this thing, and it's on a pretty big day on that Thursday with a lot of things happening, including a new Nintendo store opening up, Nintendo Legos dropping, so it just seems like it's going to be a pretty big day for Nintendo. So after about 15 minutes of them showing off Switch 2 in depth, we are obviously going to dive into the software. And since this is a special Switch 2 Nintendo Direct presentation, I think every single game we see here is going to be something very, very important for Switch 2. No minor games here. Now, how will the software go? I feel like most, if not the rest of the presentation, is going to be based on software. And I feel like the way they present these games is not going to be based on a normal Nintendo Direct. You know how they go through the headlines one at a time and games just pop up. I feel like these games are too significant to be shown off in that capacity. Every single game shown off here is probably going to be a really major big title for 2025 and maybe even some for 2026. So Nintendo's going to want to have to give them their own little individual spotlights. And that's exactly what happened with the Switch presentation. I believe that presentation was literally only called a presentation and not a direct just because they had live segments of the directors of each game coming on stage and talking about them after they were shown off. So you just take that out, you pretty much still have a direct, because what would happen is Koizumi would pop up on stage in between each game, talk a little bit about the Switch, and then dive into a video game. I feel like we're going to see the same exact thing here, where Nintendo is just going to essentially copy what they did back in 2017 for that Switch presentation, where Koizumi will come out, do a little bit of dialogue that's all pre-recorded, and then immediately just snap to the next game, and we're just going to be seeing banger after banger after banger. But what are these games that we're getting, and how is the order going to be presented? Well, time to predict. I was really stuck on trying to figure out which of the two games that they're going to show first. It's definitely between Metroid Prime 4 and, of course, the brand new Mario Kart game. Now, we know Mario Kart was the first thing shown off with that initial Switch 2 reveal, so it could definitely be Mario Kart, but I'm throwing my predictions to Metroid Prime 4. Depends how much they show of this game during the hardware section, because maybe there's not a new trailer necessarily for this game. They just keep showing off more gameplay right now and showing off, you know, the comparison between Switch 1 and Switch 2. But I do think we get a brand new exciting trailer that also does this comparison as well, showing us how the game will look from Switch 1 and Switch 2 after the trailer airs. So I'm putting my bets on the very first game reveal we get is Prime 4, and it's going to blow our minds. I think a lot of people right now are kind of just on the trailers and gameplay that we've gotten so far from Metroid Prime 4, because we really haven't gotten like a really good cinematic, good high intensity feeling trailer for Metroid Prime 4 yet, and I feel like that's what's coming now. They're like, okay, we just gave you a little bit of a glimpse in that, you know, Switch 1 Direct, but this is the real showcase, and they're going to show Samus with all these brand new moves, you know, all these crazy worlds and wacky enemies and bosses. It's going to be the big, huge reveal that we've been waiting for, and a lot of people are going to get hyped for this game. I think Ridley's going to be shown off again, because Ridley always makes a return. We're going to even see a tease for Dark Samus. I think the developers kind of said that Dark Samus was done and the story was over, but come on, the series is called Metroid Prime and Dark Samus is the Metroid Prime. We got to see her in some capacity, so I think there is going to be a glimpse, and I think Metroid Prime 4 is going to be a launch title. Yes, it's going to be a cross release between Switch 1 and Switch 2, the same way Breath of the Wild was between the Wii U and the Switch, and you're going to pretty much be able to buy a Switch 2 edition of that game, or you can just stick with Switch 1 if you don't want to buy the new console yet. Next up will be the game that we've been waiting for, of course, for 10 plus years, I think 11 years now, is Mario Kart, and it's going to be called Mario Kart 9. The trailer is going to start off by showing a bunch of racers racing around these really cool tracks, showing off lots of brand new characters. It's going to look really, really good, but still not quite draw people yet until about the second half of the trailer. It will shift and show all these wacky things, almost like Wonder events, happening with every single stage. That each time a character picks up one of these wacky items, it will drastically change the track and have moving parts all around, or just straight up transforming the characters, transforming your racers, going from 2D to 3D sections. It's just a bunch of the wildest things that you can possibly think of. But yes, it's going to look amazing. It's going to also have a single player mode that's more open, kind of like Diddy Kong Racing, with its own individual missions and boss battles. It will look so good. But unfortunately, it's not going to be a launch title. It's going to be around a couple of months later, probably right around the start of summer. Sometime in June or late June sounds just about right for me. So that's what I'm expecting from this brand new Mario Kart. It's going to be great. The third game they show off is going to be a Nintendo-themed game, which is weird, but hear me out. You always have something along those lines with a new console. With the Wii, we had Wii Sports, and then eventually Wii Sports Resort. With the Wii U, we had Nintendo Land, and with the Switch, we had 1-2 Switch, which we all know how a lot of people felt about that one. But I feel like for Switch 2, they're going to go back to Nintendo Land, yes, and maybe give us something along the lines of Nintendo Land 2, but it might be called something else entirely. It's going to be another collection of mini games, maybe a park full of mini games from different Nintendo series, and it's also going to be a launch title. Part of me wanted to say that this could be Switch Sports 2, and I think the name would work really well with the Switch 2, but a lot of people did not like Switch Sports, and I feel like they might want to do something drastically different to pull in a lot of casual players. And something like a Nintendo Land 2 would be absolutely perfect. It's actually one of the games that got me to be invested in the rest of Nintendo's franchises, and I think it could do the same for a lot of people, especially if they had some more, niche games like Xenoblade or Fire Emblem that the general Nintendo public may not be interested in. This could get them more interested into those games and have people wanting to check out those series more. I think this would be perfect. With Metroid Prime 4, a big single player game, and this Nintendo Land 2 game as the fun family game at launch would be two really good launch titles, with Mario Kart coming literally a month later. Next up, Aonuma will be the one to announce the very next trailer, where it will show us a complete from the ground up remake of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Of course, it's going to be a while for the next Zelda game, and that's probably what Aonuma will state. Like, Tears of the Kingdom just came out a couple of years ago. They're going to need some time before they reveal what that next Zelda game is going to be, but in the meantime, they're going to give us an awesome remake of Ocarina of Time, and fans are going to love this thing. It's going to be beautiful with a lot of new changes and new additions, but keeping the game primarily the same. It's going to be a very ambitious Zelda remake, and it's probably going to warrant that $70 price tag still. It's going to release late summer, around the July timeframe. Next up is a new trailer for Luigi's Mansion 4. It's going to be a huge new mansion game that offers more open exploration, more areas to explore. Remember Evershade Valley from Luigi's Mansion 2 Dark Moon? Something along those lines that we can actually explore the entire region and go into each mansion at our own leisure. And I think it won't just be mansions, it'll be different haunted buildings and structures and stuff, maybe themed around one central area, like a haunted amusement park, or maybe a haunted circus, or maybe a haunted cruise ship, or a train, something along those lines. And mark my words, this is going to be one of the best, if not the best looking games that we see in the entire Switch 2 Nintendo Direct. It's going to be beautiful, and it's going to launch around the fall, around August/September of this year. We're also going to be very surprised because the game this time around is going to have a darker approach. It's still going to have its silly, goofy ghosts and lots of silly, goofy characters, and Egad and Luigi are going to have their goofy expressions like normal, but it's going to look vastly different than the last 3 games. And will include more characters, like even Bowser this time around. Maybe Bowser actually gets kidnapped by King Boo for some reason, or maybe even teams up with King Boo. But I feel like we're going to see some familiar faces that we haven't seen in this series yet. Next up, I think we're going to get a surprise IP revival. I think we're going to see something very surprising, something like Kid Icarus, Star Fox, or even F-Zero. I could definitely see Sakurai appearing on screen and saying, hey, remember when I told you I was working on the game? This is it. And a lot of people are expecting Smash Brothers, but instead, it's a brand new Kid Icarus game that follows the events after Uprising, and it's just the next game in the series. I mean, dude, Oh, that would be so beautiful. But no, that's not necessarily my prediction. I feel like the game is most likely going to be Star Fox. It's been a while since we've seen Star Fox, and I know Nintendo doesn't want to abandon it yet. I think it's going to be a brand new, ambitious Star Fox game, or Kid Icarus. I'm still kind of torn between which one, but I think it could definitely be one of those two. The same way Mario Rabbids shocked a lot of us at first, I feel like this is going to do the same thing, while shocking a lot of people saying, what? This series is coming back, and man, it looks so good. This is going to be a fall release date, probably around that September timeframe. Then there will be one more software showcase before moving on to third-party stuff, and this game will be something that's just a small tease for the year of 2026. Yeah, it'll be a year plus away, but it's just going to be something to generate hype, and I think it's between Animal Crossing and Smash Brothers, and my prediction is going to be Super Smash Brothers. It's going to be something extremely small, like that original Smash Ultimate reveal, just showing the Smash Ball or something in someone's eye and showing some silhouettes and just saying a title card of 2026, just enough to say, woo, the hype can regain for Smash Brothers again, and it's just going to light that flame, get people predicting characters, and just get that hype cycle going again, because it has been since the end of 2018, so we're definitely due for an announcement very soon. I personally think it's going to be a Smash Brothers New Beginnings game, and I think it could even be called that, where it's just kind of like a big fresh reboot of the franchise, kind of knocking the character roster down, focusing on new movesets for every character, new and old. It's going to be a really fun reboot with a fun adventure and story mode, refreshing new start for Smash Brothers. We'll then go in a segment where I can see nothing but third-party games, or if they even talk about any at all. I don't know. Part of me feels like these third-party announcements might be done via the companies themselves rather than Nintendo. But I feel like if Nintendo has at least a couple really big ones that they want to show off, it'll be towards the end of the first-party software shown. Or maybe they stitch them in between each and every single big first-party reveal. So it'll go big first-party, big third-party, big first-party, big third-party. But personally, I see them pushing these towards the end. But at the very end of all the first-party showcases and all the third-party showcases, Nintendo will have one last final reveal. And it will be the big game to blow out everything else in the direct and in the show by showing, of course, the 3D Mario game. It's going to have a huge open world, and it's going to be beautiful. Mario's going to be doing things in that open world that we dreamt of, where he's running, swimming, flying in the air with his cap, maybe even driving a cart around the landscape, or riding different vehicles or different creatures, and we see a world that's familiar but different. Maybe there's aspects of the Mushroom Kingdom, but it just looks so much wilder than we could have ever imagined. There's places we see Mario exploring, bosses in the overworld that we see him taking out, and obstacle courses that he gets sent to via pipes or warp worlds where he has to platform in order to get to the end of each little level. But there's just so much to explore, so much to see and dissect. It just blows our mind, and of course it's going to be slated as the big holiday title around October or November of this year. This will be the big bang to end the show, and the show will end directly after this, with maybe the only thing left is a title card saying stay tuned for Treehouse coverage after this show. The Switch 2 event starting to happen literally right after this, it's probably a good idea for Nintendo to actually show some gameplay of these games as well, and what people are going to be able to be playing. It would just make sense that there's going to be a Treehouse event. Like, I couldn't imagine there not being. And they're going to play a lot of these games, maybe not all of them, but at least some of them. As far as what is the name going to be called, I have no clue. Maybe Super Mario Adventure or Super Mario Journey. I know you guys are tired of that one because I've been saying that for years now, but still, I'm just really excited for this one. This is definitely going to be that thing that everyone's talking about. Now, I didn't know this video was going to go on this long. I was going to give you some detailed thoughts of the things that I want to see that make me the most happy, but I kind of want to save that for maybe one last video before we reach the Switch 2. So all I'll say is, honestly, I just need Mario Kart and 3D Mario, and I'm set with whatever else they give us. I would love a surprise IP revival. Something like Kid Icarus would make me so happy, but anything else we get outside of 3D Mario Kart is just a cherry on top of a delicious pie. I don't really like pie that much. I'm mostly just an apple pie guy, so let's go cake. A cherry on top of the most delicious cake of all time. and I can't wait for it. Just under 3 days away. Guys, we are almost there. Just hang on a little while longer, and make sure you leave a like and subscribe. Turn on post notifications because you're going to want to be here. It's going to be an exciting, eventful week and rest of this year. We're finally almost there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo in general. And like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See you guys.